Now let's go next. Young. So we believe younger. But here it's what? Do I have than? No. So, yes, it's not younger. It's youngest. Now cheap here. Is the? Very nice. Cheapest. Think about it like this. Always think about it like this. I have than, that means it's comparative. I have the before the adjective, that means superlative. Okay? Safe. Safer. Very nice. Pretty. It ends with Y, so it will be prettier. Very nice. Exciting. More exciting. More talented. Okay? So these are the answers for our question. Now after these answers and after this exercise, I guess you understand what's superlatives and comparative. Now let's stop for 2-3 minutes, then we continue again. Be right back. Okay. Now, so let's go for part 2 from the presentation. Okay? Now, we've talked about how to face this world, and we have also the second topic was traveling and tourism. Okay? Traveling and tourism. These are the two topics that we've talked about in this level. Now, let's talk about the part of traveling and tourism. Let's companion this with a video. Okay? Something about traveling. So let's watch this video about traveling.
Welcome to English Grammar Spot. This lesson is about comparisons.
Welcome to EF Pod English. Brought to you by EF Education First and English Town. Learn anytime, anywhere. Pod English, Upper Intermediate 72. Travel itinerary.
Morning. There's ticket, passport.
We're going to look at some useful words we use when we talk about travelling. We're also going to look at when and how to use unless. But
I have
first,
one piece.
let's watch the movie.
Yes.
Anna needs to leave work early. Why?
I'm flying direct to Sydney.
Excuse me, I have to leave early.
Okay, how come?
It's my niece, she's at the airport. She's on her way to Japan. She said the travel agent gave her the wrong itinerary. She said she has to make 3 connections to get to Japan and it will take 2 days to fly there.
It's gonna take 2 days? What's the problem?
She has to fly to Rome, then Paris, then Singapore, and finally Japan.
Really? She's going to Paris and she needs to change planes in Rome and then Singapore?
No, it's Rome first and then Paris second.
That doesn't make any sense. That's a bad itinerary. Why do you have to go to the airport?
She told me she has to pay a $100 fee to change her ticket. She doesn't have any money.
It sounds like she didn't prepare very well, doesn't it?
No, she didn't. But she is a teenager and she hasn't travelled before. But unless she changes her ticket before her departure, she'll go to Rome and she won't be able to get a direct flight to Japan.
Why not just call the travel agent?
It's 6:15. They close at 6.
Well, hurry up. You don't want to get there after they've made the boarding announcements.
I don't believe it. They've cancelled my flight. Can't believe they've cancelled my flight.
Oh dear, what has gone wrong? I think Anna's niece needs some help, don't you? Let's see again what the problem is.
It's my niece. She's at the airport. She's on her way to Japan. She said the travel agent gave her the wrong itinerary.
The itinerary is the problem. Anna's niece has been given the wrong itinerary. An itinerary is a travel schedule. It's a bit like a timetable for your holiday. So what does Anna's niece need to do?
She said she has to make 3 connections to get to Japan and it will take 2 days to fly there.
Her niece has to make 3 connections. This means that she has to change airplanes 3 times in one journey. Well, no one wants to spend 2 days travelling in an airplane, so Anna's niece has to change her ticket.
Excuse me. My flight has just been cancelled. 20 minutes ago you're telling me to board the aircraft. Now my flight is cancelled. How am I ever going to get to Sydney in 24 hours?
Unless she changes her ticket before her departure, she'll go to Rome and she won't be able to get a direct flight to Japan.
Unless she changes her ticket before her departure, she won't be able to get a direct flight to Japan. Unless means the same as if, not. This is the same as saying, if she doesn't change her ticket, she won't be able to get a direct flight to Japan. So Anna has to go to the airport to pay the $100 for the new ticket. Why is it important for her to leave quickly?
Was it the flight to
Sydney! Sydney!
Sydney? Let me check, ma'am.
Checking, checking, checking. Always checking.
Well, hurry up. You don't want to get there after they've made the boarding announcements.
Because if she arrives after the boarding announcements have been made, her niece might miss the flight. A boarding announcement sounds like this. Flight 244 to Hawaii is boarding at gate 65.
I'd like to fly with a different airline. Can you please... Okay, I would like my luggage back. I would like to fly on a different airline, please. I'm not waiting around for a boarding announcement. I please have my luggage back. I demand to have my luggage back.
Well, now it's your turn to practice what you've learnt today. Can you fill in the missing word here? Here's a hint. The word we're looking for means to change planes. I hope I don't miss my connection. Can you remember what we call this? Flight 244 to Hawaii is boarding at gate 65. That's right, it's a boarding announcement. So what about this? Can you remember a word which might fit in here? Excellent! The word we're looking for is itinerary. Anna's niece has a bad itinerary. And how can I rephrase this sentence so it uses the word unless? If she doesn't change her ticket, she won't be able to get a direct flight. We could say, unless she changes her ticket, she won't be able to get a direct flight. And that brings me to the next point. We've learned some useful words to do with travelling, like connection, itinerary, and boarding announcement. We've also looked at how to use unless. Thanks for joining me in this lesson. I hope I can see you again
Unlikely.
soon. Bye for now.
Now, so that video was talking about traveling, and Mr. Amin was talking about traveling and tourism and lots of things, okay? He also talked about the actions in traveling, if we try to remember, like, about things like the flight was delayed, the flight was cancelled, I have no vacancies, and lots of things he explained to you. When he said no vacancies, that means we don't have a place for you. Flight was delayed, that means it was going to be 7, now it's 8. Also, you can say like the flight was cancelled, that means they are not going through that flight. They got a discount on a ticket, maybe something like boarding pass and other things like, other things to go on the plane and other. And these were like the things that Mr. Hamid talked about. Also, he talked about lovely places that you can travel to. I guess he talked like about Pisa Tower in Italy. He talked about some places in the USA. And he talked about lots of behaviors also in traveling and tourism. Okay? And he actually asked you in the beginning about Tokyo, London, and Los Angeles. Which one do you want to actually travel to or something like that? Okay, so that was Mr. Amir's presentation about tourism. We're trying to recap what happened. Most important things about what happened in tourism. When he said no vacancy, flight was cancelled, delayed, and we actually have covered all of that in that video, so it can be clear to you. Okay? Now, if we're trying to go further, we'll go further to the next topic that we've talked about. The next topic we've talked about was about facing the world. Facing the world was related to interview. Okay, we've talked about lots of things about facing the world and how to face the world, and we've talked about interview skills and lots of things. Now, in the beginning, we actually start talking about normal routine life. Okay, pretty typical, like this. Like when I say I finished studies, I start looking for a job. And when I start looking for a job, I meet like people and I learn something new. Like I have to work on my skills. That's important. It's very important to work on your skills. That's like the most important thing in life. Now, to work a good job, you need to work on your skills. And to work on your skills, you need to learn and listen to lots of things. And we're going to talk about this. We've talked about some interview skills and how to apply them and other things. Now, I've shared with you some videos. I've shared with you some 7 traits with for successful people and other things. Now, we will share today some other videos. Okay? We will share today some other videos from, let's say, videos about interview and other. Okay? So that's for the facing. Now, let's go back to grammatical part. The grammatical part that we've talked about in the first topic was also not just comparative and superlatives. The second thing was reporting commands. That's the second grammatical. Now, reporting commands and advice, that means like, for example, it's like, be careful. He told me to be careful. Very nice. Don't forget your car keys. Okay, so he reminded me not to forget my car keys. Okay, so call in a few days. So he, very nice, he advised me to call in a few days. Okay, let's go next. No? So the comment here was, the command here was, relax, he told me, or he told us to relax. Very nice. Now, let's go for next thing. Don't walk down that street at night. He warned him not, very nice, to walk down that street at night. Now, let's watch this video talking about reported speech, and it will help us a lot.
English Grammar, Lesson 16. It's time now to talk about imperative sentences. Sentences like, open it. The imperative uses the base verb to ask a person to perform an action. The imperative often is used as a command, open it. But we could also use the imperative to make a request. Please open it. How do we report imperative sentences? That's just one of the questions we'll answer in this lesson. In this lesson, we'll answer these 2 questions. How do we report imperative sentences? What other reporting verbs can we use besides say, tell, and ask? As I mentioned, imperative sentences are used to do different things. We can give commands or orders. Come here now. Give directions. Turn left on Fifth Avenue. Give instructions. Write your account number on your check. Make requests. Please show the client in. And issue warnings. Don't feed your dog candy. But how do we report imperative sentences? Let's look at one of our examples, a request. Please show the client in, said Mr. Wells to the receptionist. The reported statement is, Mr. Wells told the receptionist to show the client in. So when reporting imperative sentences, we most often use this form, who, our speaker, tell or ask, the reporting verb, usually in the past tense, whom, the object, and the infinitive. Again, our example is Mr. Wells told the receptionist to show the client in. Let's try our first exercise. Exercise 1. Report each imperative sentence using tell or ask and an infinitive. Example. Make a wish. What did the mother say? We already have the speaker and our reporting verb. The mother told. Whom? Her daughter. And the infinitive? To make. The mother told her daughter to make a wish. Now you try number 1. 1. Enjoy your youth, son. What did the father say? Answer. The father told his son to enjoy his youth. 2. Don't go too fast and have an accident on your birthday. What did the father say? Answer. The father told his son not to go too fast and have an accident on his birthday. 3. Dance with me. It's my birthday. What did the man say? Answer. The man asked the woman to dance with him because it was his birthday. Because there are so many uses of the imperative, we don't have to limit ourselves to the reporting verbs tell and ask in reported speech. There are many others to choose from. Let's consider some examples. Come to my party. Example 1. Jennifer invited us to come to her party. Don't tell me you have other plans. Example 2. Jennifer warned us not to tell her we had other plans. Don't be late. Example 3. Jennifer warned us not to be late. Or, Jennifer reminded us to be on time. When choosing other reporting verbs besides the most common ones of say, tell, and ask, you need to think about these two questions. What verb most accurately reports the nature of the speaker's words? So focus on meaning. What grammar is required by the reporting verb? Think about structure. I'd like to present other reporting verbs to you now, and I'll group them by meaning. By focusing on the speaker's purpose, you can choose an accurate reporting verb. You can use tell or ask to report a request. It may be more accurate to choose a verb like plead or urge. Invitations can be reported with ask, but you could also try invite. Commands and orders can be reported with tell. You might also choose command, demand, order, or wish to be more accurate. Directions and instructions can be reported with tell, or you may try advise, caution, instruct, or recommend. These are just some suggestions. For questions, you might use ask, inquire, question, or wonder as your reporting verb. Responses can use answer, clarify, confirm, explain, insist, reply, respond. And here are even more reporting verbs for you to consider. Verbs to report neutral statements, verbs to report emotional statements, verbs to report purposeful statements. Now I'm not going to give examples for all of these verbs, and if some are unfamiliar to you, you can look them up in a dictionary. These lists are really just a reference for you. Now let's consider reporting verbs from the viewpoint of structure. Some reporting verbs, we'll call them Group A, use this structure. It's the reporting verb plus an object, whom, plus the infinitive. It's the same structure used for ask and tell. Ask someone to do something. Tell someone to do something. Now you can use this structure with these verbs: advise, encourage, forbid, invite, instruct, order, remind, request, urge, and warn. Again, I won't give examples. This is just a reference. In Group B, we have verbs that are followed by an infinitive. Agree to do something, beg to do something, claim to do something, etc. Now some verbs belong to more than one group. For example, beg and promise can also use the structure we saw in Group A. You can beg or promise someone to do something. And a lot of these verbs can simply be followed by a that clause, as in, she swore that she was telling the truth. In Group C, we have verbs followed by a gerund, the ing form of a verb. For example, acknowledge doing something, admit doing something. Advise is a verb that belongs to both Group C and A, so we can advise doing something, and we can advise someone to do something. In Group D, we have reporting verbs followed by an object, whom, followed by a preposition, followed by a gerund. For example, accuse someone of doing something. Other verbs in this group are blame, dissuade, congratulate, forgive, and warn. There are others. Again, these lists are not complete, but they're a good reference for you. In our last group, Group E, reporting verbs are followed by that plus the base verb. This is a more formal structure, also known as the subjunctive. It's very typical in writing. Let's use an example with propose. The manager proposed that all employees be given equal vacation time. Let's try one more exercise.
Exercise 2. Listen to each statement, then identify which reported statement is most accurate.
Happy birthday!
Which is most accurate? A. Jennifer wished me a happy birthday. B. Jennifer requested that I have a happy birthday. C. Jennifer promised me to have a happy birthday. Well, the purpose of that statement was not to make a request or promise, but rather to express a wish. So A is most accurate.
Why don't we have the party outside?
Which is most accurate? A. Jennifer demanded that we have the party outside. B. Jennifer suggested that we have the party outside. C. Jennifer threatened to have the party outside. Answer: B.
I'm over 30. In fact, I'm closer to 40.
Which is most accurate? A. Jennifer confessed that she's over 30. In fact, she admitted to being closer to 40. B. Jennifer argued that she's over 30. In fact, she denied being closer to 40. C. Jennifer recalled that she's over 30. In fact, she consented to be closer to 40. Answer:
So after this video, now we understand what is the reported speech. Now let's try to solve the questions. Okay. Now, Andrew. So Andrew said this. Okay, Andrew, clean the blue bike. No. So these were the like words of Andrew. So Andrew told me what? Yes, told me to what? Clean the blue bike. Very nice. So it's like this. So he told me to clean the blue bike. Now let's go next. Jessica. Yes. Jessica told me to write a text message. So Jessica told me to write a text message. So what's this? Now, it's like this. Now, I stick with the tense. I use the same tense. I'm talking about the past. But I change it. Now, let's try to explain this part. Let's say, for example, Muhammad said, you have to stop eating. Okay. Now let's make a reporter speech. So Muhammad said to me, Muhammad told me that I have to stop eating. That's correct? No, I stick with the past. I had to stop eating. So sorry. So here, it's past, then I have to stop eating. Understand the idea? So let's go next. Nellie. Nellie, help Peter's sister. Nellie told me? Yes. Nellie told me to help Peter's sister. So Nellie told me to help Peter's sister. Let's go next. Fred, wash your hands. So Fred told me to wash my hands. So it's pretty easy. Pretty easy. Open the window. So it all need to. Okay. So to open the window. Okay. Let's go next. Very nice. Tom, comment 8. Tom told me to comment. Teacher told me to do the homework. So again, yes. So the teacher told me, yes, to do your homework? My homework. Very nice. So now we understand something from the report speech. Reported speech, I talk about his own words, then I talk about myself. Like here. So here, you have to, I change to I have to stop here. Let's go next. Doris, dance with me. Doris told me to dance with her. Very nice. Meet Sandy at the station. To meet Sandy at the station. Check your emails. She told me to check my emails. Okay? So these were like some examples for reported speech and how to use them. Let's go next. The interview tips recap. Very nice. Now, when we were talking about interview, we talked about the interview is one of the most important things. Okay? Because the interview, this is like somehow the approach to having a job. Now, let's ask ourselves that question. Now, so the first question is like this. How to prepare for the interview. How to prepare for the interview? That's a good question. That's an important question. We need to know how to answer this question. Anyway, so how to prepare for the interview? So this is a very important question we need to answer. Now, what to do before the interview? What to do for the interview? All of these are questions I have to answer about the interview. How to prepare for the interview. Now, to know the answer for this question, let's watch this. So, we've managed to answer the first question, how to prepare for the interview. So, as he said, get enough sleep, rest well, and try always not to somehow go late. That's important. Like, I have to go on time or something like that. Now, what is the second question? The second question now, let's talk about some behaviors in some interviews. Let's watch this video talking about behaviors in the interview. Okay? So now let's go about like for another question, which is like how to introduce yourself in an interview. That's important. How to talk about yourself. Lots of people, they don't know how to talk about themselves, and they keep on actually talking about a recorded message. What's the recorded message? Like a robot sound. It's like this, like when someone asks you to introduce yourself, so you have like memorized line. You just say to anyone with the same method, with the same intonation, with the same everything. That's a robot sound, so pay attention. This is not healthy for you. Now, pay attention to this. Now, when we talk about like robot sound, it gives a bad impression about you. That means you just prepared answers, not just about you, not talking, you just like recording a message for someone. Okay? So let's here talk about how to introduce ourselves. So tell me about yourself. That's a good question. That's a question like you will be asked a lot in the interview. So how to overcome this? Like I have to talk about what's useful for them. As he said, it's not an invitation for you to talk about lots of things about yourself. So no, like trust me. You need just to talk about things that are related to the job. Now let's go for one last thing about the 3 toughest questions in the interview. My friends, that was a recap about like the interview questions. That was a recap about the tourism and everything. So that was like level 11 recap. This was Ahmed Raga from the Academic Professional Training. That's all for today. So this is a recap. Hope to see you inshallah in the future. So I will see you and have fun inshallah. Okay. Bye bye and peace with you.